On this episode, we're going to break down the anatomy of a passive land investment. I'm going to give you some details on what these deals look like, especially from a passive investor standpoint. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Fear-Free Passive Investing, where we help you conquer your financial fears and unlock the secrets of passive wealth creation in real estate. Get ready to break free from fear and embrace a life of financial freedom. Here's your host, Luke Miller.
What's going on, everyone? This is Luke Miller, Fear-Free Passive Investing, and today's show is a little fun. We're going to talk through what one of these land deals looks like that I've been talking about over the last couple of weeks now, and what I've been doing with these deals to generate good returns for these investors. But before we get into that, I just want to say thanks for everyone. I've had a couple of people reach out and say thanks for starting the podcast again. Again, this doesn't make money, so this does take time and energy. It costs money. And so I appreciate everyone's support. It's really nice to do that. I enjoy creating the episodes, and I'm really glad to be doing it again. But I'm also excited to be sharing with you what we're doing now. So let's talk through what the anatomy of a passive land investment looks like. Okay, so to start, let's back up to what land investing is. Now, we've talked about this on a couple episodes, but there's a lot of different ways to do land investing. I am of the mindset that there are safe ways to do it and there are not safe ways to do it. I prefer to do it the least risky way. That does generate returns for sure, actually really good returns. But there's also ways to do it that generate higher returns if you have the money to play with. Most importantly, I think when people think of land investing, they think of land banking. And land banking, if you don't know, is just basically buying a piece of land where you think the path of progress is headed, and you hope that that land is going to appreciate rapidly in value. Now, I think that's what most people have in mind when they hear, oh, I buy land, because traditionally it seems like it's a very illiquid investment. That's not what we do. Now, also, there are other ways to do it. There's recreational land, there's timber investment, and there's just ways to park money in land that don't generate returns necessarily. Timber takes a long time to realize, from planting to growth, 30 years, sometimes 25 years for a traditional planted pine. But there's other ways to invest in land, and so that's kind of what we're going to focus on today, is just starting from scratch what a traditional land flip looks like. And then we'll get into more of the value add stuff that I'm getting into right now. And so to start, land flipping is really simple. It's almost as simple as house flipping, except it's less complex. There's less moving parts. You find a piece of land that is desirable, and with real estate, it's location, location, location. So you find a really good piece of land, you get a really good deal on it, you turn around, and maybe you make some improvements, maybe you don't, and you put it on the market and you sell that. Now, we talked, why would anybody do that? And if you missed that episode, go back. But long story short, there's lots of reasons why people sell land at a discount. But the biggest is we create a value by making what has traditionally been an illiquid asset liquid. There's lots of people that inherit land or are going through a divorce or just don't want to pay taxes anymore. And we're right there with a check waiting for them to say, yes, I will sell this land. Now, for that value, we turn around and make money on the delta. Now, how do we find these deals? This is an anatomy lesson, so we're going to break down every part of it. How do we find it? Marketing, outbound marketing, mail, texting, cold calling, and there's other channels to do this, but those are my main three right now. I have full-time employees that do outbound mail to anyone that owns a piece of land that I think is worth money. We text and we cold call folks. And so as those leads come in, and this is a very data-heavy, data-intensive business, and as those leads go out, or as that marketing goes out, leads are coming back in. Now, we're constantly churning through leads because we get probably, I would say 20, maybe 30 leads per deal we think we will offer on. And so what I mean by that is there's lots of undesirable land as well, or desirable to other people, but not to me. And so we have to sift through that. We, my employees mostly, and myself, we sift through those leads and say, okay, this one's in a floodplain. It has a lot of undulation or a lot of slope, or it's landlocked. I'm not interested in that. Kick that one to the side. Or we look through something and we say, oh yeah, we really like that deal. Let's move that to the next stage. So once the initial contact has been made with the seller, they have said, yes, I would like to sell my land for a price, take a look at it, generate an offer, and come back to me. Well, once we come back with an offer, our offer is usually between 40 and 60 cents on the dollar. That's typically what we pay for land. And you might be hearing that saying, wow, that's a huge discount. And it is, for sure. But there's risk involved in that. Land has traditionally been, like I said, illiquid, but it also sits on the market typically for a lot longer. And so that's the experience that people have when they are selling their land. They say, yeah, I know it's worth more than this, but he's going to have to sit on it for a while, or, there might be a market correction and all these things. So there is risk involved with buying land. But what the seller might not understand is the land investing market has changed very dramatically since COVID. There are lots of people looking for rural vacant land, which is what I specialize in, and they have been for a very long time. And so when we buy a piece of property and we turn around and put it on the market, it usually is under contract within 30 to 50 days and closed between 70 and 90 days later. That's a very quick timeline. To put that into perspective, commercial multifamily, which is something I also do, that hold strategy is 5 to 7 years. 3 to 7 years is what we mostly tell people, but it's usually around 5 years on average. And you imagine investing $75,000 in that and you waiting 5-7 years, or you invest $75,000 into a land flip and it's back in 3 to 9 months usually, with much better returns, which is why I've made this shift towards land investing. It's not that multifamily doesn't have value. Of course it does. It's just a different strategy. And there's different yields attached to that right now, mostly because of the cost of capital. The cost of capital is making multifamily unattainable at a risk-reward variable that I like, or ratio. And so this is why we do these land investments. Now, like I said, once we acquire that land, coming back to the anatomy lesson, once we acquire that piece of land, let's just say we get it under contract. From there, we send that contract, we do about a week's worth of due diligence on an internal company due diligence. And during that time, we're checking for, back taxes, HOAs. I order a drone pilot to go out and take a look at this land, because most of the land I never even see. I never see in person. There are some projects where I absolutely set foot on, mostly the higher dollar value ones. But if it's, less than $100,000, I'm typically not even looking at the land. But we send a drone pilot out. He takes pictures of the land. He walks the property. He marks the corners for us. Sometimes he puts out a sign. And he's really our eyes on the ground. And then he reports back to us. He sends us pictures. And from there, we decide, okay, this does meet the expectation of what the seller said it does. There's no major trash. There's no landfills. There's no, crazy landmarks or anything on the land. We can move forward to the next step. And the next step is when we actually send the property contract to the title company. And we close every single purchase through a title company. Excuse me. We haven't always done that, but it is one of those things that is important. And we get a title search, we get title insurance, And as soon as we get a clear report and a clear commitment from the title company, from the insurance company, that this property can be sold and is being sold by the person that we have a contract with, that's when we're ready for the next step.
Are you interested in investing alongside me in future land deals? At My Simple Land, we offer long-term secured notes, short-term joint ventures, and specialized value-add projects where you get to share in the revenue. If you're interested, visit mysimpleland.com/invest for more information or to schedule a call with me.
Okay, and the next step is we obviously purchase the property. That's where you would come in as a passive investor or someone down the road. To this point, I don't have a lot of options for passive investors. If you are interested, let me know. But a lot of these deals move so quickly that our velocity of capital is coming back, that we fund a lot of these deals in-house. And so we pay for the property, we pay for the closing costs, and we immediately, and I mean immediately, I have it on the market probably the next day or the next 3 days. That's usually my max. And the reason for that is, like I said, velocity of capital. You know, we want to be moving these properties as quickly as we possibly can. And so that does take some logistics efforts on the front end. I'm communicating with the title company and constantly talking to them about when this property is going to close and when we're ready. And I'm communicating that to our agent on the back end, who will actually list the property for us, the land specialized agent. And so they will then take that property, put it on the market, and hopefully we have offers to choose from. Now, we're not looking for top dollar in our listings. There's different strategies for different areas that we work in. Some agents really prefer to list at the very top of the market and test the waters. And some agents prefer to list at maybe 90%, 95% of market value, but don't take any offers below that. And it really just depends on the area and what you have experience with, but the agent will typically know best if they are a land specialized agent. My philosophy with that is I will trust the agent until I have a reason not to trust them. And so far I have been pleasantly surprised with all the agents that I have actually listed properties with, but that comes with vetting them on the front end. And let me tell you, there are so many agents that are awful with land. And so it's really important to make sure you are doing your due diligence there. But yeah, so that's really it. And once the land closes, you know, you're typically looking 30 to 45 days after you receive an offer, a signed contract. You will close on it on the back end. And then 2 or 3 days after that, you will get your proceeds and you move on to the next one. And you hopefully have a whole pipeline of these moving quickly. And yeah, so from a passive investor standpoint, it's quite easy. You look at the property, you decide if you like it, you look at the prospectus, you look at the expected returns, and if that fits your risk profile, you wire money directly to the title company. We will sign a promissory note at closing saying I will pay you back that money and the terms at which I will pay you back that money. And that's recorded along with all the other stuff at the closing table. And when the property sells, that deed is satisfied and we all get our money. And that's it. That's the anatomy of a passive land investment. It's pretty easy, especially from the investor standpoint. It does take a little bit of knowledge on the front end. As we always say, there is no passive way to invest in real estate. That's kind of our running joke over the past years, but it's true. But this is definitely one of the ways that you can be more passive in your investment for a small subset of your portfolio. And if you have interest in this, go ahead and reach out. I'd love to talk to you more. But otherwise, I'll be back soon with another episode talking passive investment in real estate. Thanks, everyone.